Good evening, and greetings, 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 greetings. Welcome to our first edition of Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates. And I am excited. It promises to be a very interesting, perhaps even an electrifying evening. I have some of my colleagues here with me, and we are going to engage in what I believe would be meaningful conversation. This program is designed to be both a program about governance and also about the politics here in Tobago. So you will get a sense of our perspective on the politics and, of course, what we are doing in our various districts and also in the divisions that we have been graciously allowed to give some leadership over. So I want to introduce you to my colleagues that are here tonight, and I dare say my very good friends. To my immediate right is Councillor Tashia Boris, who is the Secretary for Tourism and all the other fancy additives, antiquities, and some of the things that are hard for me to pronounce. And then, of course, on the far right is my good friend, Mr. Ian Whitey Pollard, who is the Secretary for Settlements and Public Utilities and the like. I heard somebody say they call him Whitey, but he have a black heart. I don't understand that.
That's assassin type words.
Yes. So, I mean, and we want to welcome all of you who would be joining the program via the live and so on. And at some point in the evening, we are going to try and perhaps answer some of the questions that may come. And we always would want to say that we expect that those questions and your commentary and so on, because this is live on Facebook, we have no control and should not even attempt to have control over persons who would want to comment and so on, but we will expect that it will be respectful. I know that there will be a myriad of opinions, and we expect that those opinions would be expressed in a manner that is respectful. And so we're going to kind of jump right in. Yes. And so on, and let me hear the voice of my colleague. We'll start here with Secretary Boris, and tell us how you feel on the premiere night.
Good evening, Bishop.
Yes.
Bishop Baines, and thank you very much for extending the invitation to me to be on this first edition of Full Disclosure. Mm-hmm. I think this avenue is very important for members of the Independent 16, yes, to be able to, have a different level of conversation with the people of Tobago, by extension, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and the persons in the wider world, in the diaspora. Yes. A lot of things are happening in this space, and certainly I think that persons are interested to find out directly from members, because the chief, had his interview on Tuesday, and the letter came out on Monday, and he was the first person who was interviewed, and he had a very wide-ranging discourse on Tuesday morning. Yes, but certainly I think that this platform is very, very important for individual members to be able to come and also tell our own stories, because I think that our own stories are very important to provide context. I think a lot of persons are speculating as to the why we have gotten to this point, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to be able to say that this was not easy. Coming to this place was not easy. Certainly, I know that I have a particularly unique perspective, having been running mate to Mr. Duke back in the 2020 general election, and my own experiences there, and I never told my story. I never really got the opportunity to tell my story then.
Well, you're on full disclosure now.
Yeah, I'm on full disclosure now. And then, now being where I'm at, having assisted with the 2 election campaigns, and seeing what happened in January 2021, obviously what happened in December 2021, and now being a secretary myself and having my own experiences, I think it's very important to provide context for some persons who might have questions, who might be a little confused, who might be certainly very concerned. I think this is the opportunity to let people know that certainly walking away was not an easy decision for us.
Right.
The reality is that we all sacrificed to help build the party that we had to walk away from. And nobody wants to build a house and then literally kind of have to walk away from it. So I'm happy for the opportunity, and I just hope that at the end of the conversations tonight, and even conversations that we will continue to have after tonight, that people will begin to see a fuller picture of what happened, and then they can now truly understand where we're at and see how we could now move forward in the best interest of the people of Tobago.
Right. Whitey Pollard, boy.
One and only.
How you feel?
Well, I feel good. I thank you, like my colleague Tashia Boris, extend me the invitation to be here tonight. But I'm here to fully disclose. Because I feel at times that we going in as a new party, or as Tashia said, 16 independent. You know, sometimes we have to bite our lips, our tongues, and not disclose something. But I think it's time we have an honest conversation with the population to let them know the quagmire that we met when we went into office. Because we try to govern. That's what we try to do, and not play a blame game. But it's high time we fully disclose what we're going through in our divisions, so they would have a better appreciation of the reason why some things are not unfolding or rolling out as quickly as they would like it to.
Right.
So I am prepared to fully disclose so they could be fully aware.
And fully informed.
Fully informed.
Well, we wanted current affairs. I mean, of course, coming out of the collective decision for us to move to another place and so on. There's been a lot of conversation about that. There's been a myriad of views, and I remember a former leader in this country, he's passed on now, said that views are like noses, everybody has one.
Well.
You understand? And that is so true. But everybody's view is dear to them, and no matter whether a view is ill-informed, you know, people think that their views are their views, and most times people think that they are right, you know. And so part of what we're trying to do here is to put some information in this space, and hope that information can contribute to and perhaps even help people to amend their views if they so desire. But all in all, information is important to put out there. So I wanted to jump off the conversation tonight, starting with a little video clip, you know, and then we will see where it goes from there. Understand? You know, I see somebody on the live here saying it's a good thing Kelvin have a show now. We have one.
Oh boy.
But you know, life is funny, and you know, we I mean, without even necessarily responding to that, but this idea is something that we've been mulling over for quite a while. And Secretary Boris, you remember we had a conversation, and we must let the viewers know that Secretary Boris is the one who really came up with this name for the show. We were having a casual conversation and so on, and so we will discuss the copyright matters at another time.
At another time.
You understand? But she's the one that came up with this name, and so on. We felt that we should have a show, whether or not somebody else have a show and this one have a show. Really, there's a slot for us to do what we have to do, and we'll do that, you know, and we don't make any apologies for that. So we're going to ask the how Ian Allen and
run the clip.
Oh Lord. Director.
Yes, director. Yes. Run the clip.
Director, run the video now, man. Yes, sir.
The information that was now given people is that the THA is not going back to the poll.
No.
So the information that they would have get, and
if they resign as assemblymen,
correct,
they have to go back to the poll because you create a vacancy in the house.
I understand.
The laws are very clear. And somebody using this trump says some standing orders in the parliament. I said the standing orders cannot trump the law. No standing orders in the parliament could trump the law. The law is absolutely clear. Oh, Martin Jordan, they can't understand this. They have their own agenda. And I pointed out to you that there is no election to be held. These people now become, and people have to remember what Duke did, without going into details. When this thing happened in September, with this thing, they went to New York and so on and so on, and Duke did with his outbursts and so on.
Correct. Yeah.
You remember when he came back and he attempted, because of bad legal advice,
correct. Yeah.
And we went on the program and said no. The advice Mr. Duke got from his lawyers about if he fire Farley and them, because like the movie started, remove them from the party, remove their deputy, the next thing you're going to fire them. They believe that if they have to resign from the House because they get fired from the PDP. That is section 49 subsection 2E of the Constitution. It only applies to the House of Representatives, not to the THA. Oh. So when that was exposed by us, that does not apply to us, and his senior counsels who advised him, including the same one there too, recognized that blunder, Duke find himself as the chief standalone.
Yes.
As a result, he had to resign. Because he was looking to make a move to fire them. So a vacancy would have been created. In fact, 2 for Faith and Farley's seat would have been vacant because he fired them from the party.
Correct, yes.
And they had to leave the House. So 2 vacancies were created.
That is what he was advised.
That is what the advice he got. When they now recognize that that didn't apply there, fellow was disappointed. So as a result of that, there is no vacancy in the assembly. There will be no election. There is no legal, constitutional or other grounds to that.
Yes, very good.
When you win your election, you go in the house, you are individual. And that is why when you go, of course, you know you go in there as a cohesive team and so on. So you're going to sit down and listen to your group, or you go in there as a group, as a team. But you remember you have an independent vote representing your constituency inside there. Yes. That's what we have here. We didn't want to divide up the assembly. Because we didn't, the first THA from 1980 to 1996 did not have any minority in it. No, there was no minority. That's why the assembly is created the way and structured the way. Mr. Covington and I Robinson address, and you all must have it. I read it out several times on this program. I don't need to go back there. Very serious. That when you go into the house, he said that what he said is that the leader of the majority party would collect the views from the members and come to the Covitia, to the horseshoe.
Right, good.
The minority in the House will collect the views from the minority party in the House and come. And we come to a consensus to fix the Tobago people business. We don't have no opposition leader.
Understood there.
No divisiveness. Tobago is too small a society for that. If you read Hansard when this thing was done in 1996, you will have seen where the PNM and Robinson speak about that and said we don't want such thing. And Manning asked him in the debate, are you saying that you're objecting to the Westminster system? And Robinson said we are too creative to just follow blindly into what people have.
Yes.
We're creating our own system to operate Tobago the way we are. A people united, wanting to move forward with one voice, one mission, one vision. We're not dividing this place as you're all in Trinidad.
Very interesting, and I wanted
Indeed.
the entire video to be played, and it was a little lengthy. But let me jump off this way. About 2 months ago, a lady sent me a WhatsApp message, right? Now what I'm going to say, I have a little conspiracy theory in it, okay. but you know, it's conversation. And she said to me that she was in a place, and one of the former members of the executive, the PNM executive, was saying confident that they have this grand plan to get back in power in January, right? And so on. And she told me in the message, she said, well, she thought it was ludicrous and so on, but they had this grand idea to get back in power and so on. So, based on what we've just kind of listened to and viewed and so on and listening, and in my mind I'm saying, okay, so we know that what Mr. Charles just raised when Mr. Duke started his move, and we must say that nobody pushed Mr. Duke anywhere.
No.
We must say to the public there was no internal falling out.
On this side.
There was no internal falling out to say, well, you know, we say, well, you have to, you know, we don't want you in this executive. Mr. Duke left on his own volition, and people must understand that. Mr. Duke is a big man. The decision that he made those decisions by himself. He left and went and did what he did. So he decided now, because he could not control the chief secretary, he really wanted a kind of puppet leader. You understand? That is what he wanted. So he couldn't control the chief secretary and so on. So he decided that he will try to depose the chief secretary. And this is not the first time, because we will get to that too, Pollard, because the first time he attempted to depose the chief secretary was in July, in the month of July, and we will talk about that as well. But so the issue about removing Dr. Faith and Chief Secretary and Alicia, Miss Alicia Patterson and so on and all that, removing them as Mr. Charles was saying, thinking that move will also mean that they have to be resigned. They have to resign from the house. They have to resign from the house. But indeed, but the thing about it is that the whoever gave him the information, because I make sure and walk with the excerpt from the THA Act. I mean, and I wanted to kind of raise it up here. At the top of this here, it says the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? And from chapter 25 and we go to section to subsection 33, where it talks about the Executive Council of the Assembly. And it says that the Executive Council shall comprise of the Chief Secretary, the Deputy Chief Secretary, such other secretaries, not being more than 7, selected from among the members of the Assembly, as the President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Chief Secretary, may appoint. So this, I think the average reader could interpret this. There's no ambiguity in this, right? So I was making the point that we have seen in more recent times, we know now that Mr. Duke has been caucusing with the PNM members. The evidence speaks to that. We've seen it in the House and so on, and especially in the last sitting. You remember when after the Chief Secretary did his bit, the responder to the motion is supposed to, by convention, be the minority leader. And the leader of government business, in a conversation with the outside of the house in the tea room, because there was a conversation, and was alerted that the person that will respond is Mr. Duke.
Yes.
So she was told by Mr. Morris that he and Mr. Duke have an arrangement.
Yes.
You understand? They have an arrangement. So I speak after what the leader of government business was told.
Yeah.
Right. So they have an arrangement. So there is some working collusion.
Yes.
There is some collusion.
Yes.
All in an effort to depose this team.
Yes.
And you ask yourself,
why?
Not only why, who benefits from this action?
Yes.
Who benefits from this?
Correct.
Who benefits? Because, and then there is a call in unison now.
Yes, for the elections.
For elections,
yes. And you know, it demonstrates that those persons really don't understand the mind of the crafters of the THA Act. You know, when we have the conversation about autonomy, people don't realize how much latitude we have in the current makeup of the THA. In other words, the THA The Tobago House of Assembly is not beholden to political parties.
Right. It's clear,
which is what obtains, and this is the culture that we have come to accept and understand. I think that what has happened has exposed, one, that the crafters of the act were very, very wise in terms of ensuring that that whole idea of even a puppet leader should not happen. Because if you look at the posturings of Mr. Duke and Dr. Ned and these people, they're almost essentially saying that the Executive Council should be accounting to a party executive.
Yes.
Which, in my view, that is treasonous. that is treason. Because this is a bunch of people who outside of the system, who are not democratically elected or appointed, trying to dictate to democratically elected and appointed leaders that you should do our bidding. But and forget the people who vote for you.
Yes, I mean, and it's highly offensive.
That's what it, and it is.
But not only that, I have been involved in this political fight for Tobago since 1976 as a 10-year-old. And it's something that the PNM never wanted. They rejected, they fought against Mr. Robinson and Mr. Murray and the whole clan about Tobago, the Tobago House of Assembly. So they didn't take the time to understand the act or anything like that. So, I mean, now that you're seeing that they're just wishing and hoping that this, I mean, clearly they don't understand. And they never supported it. Even the PNM first chief secretary, he's on record. The first time he voted for Tobago determination is when he was a candidate. So all he was a principal coming up. They never supported the fight at Tobago. I mean, I was 10, I was just coming up from primary school into high school. And there, you know, you see the struggles that Tobago was going through, because remember in 1976, when they lost, 77, they lost the election, 76, Mr. Williams removed the Tobago Affairs Ministry from Tobago. And person has to go through the struggle of not getting paid for 6 fortnights and stuff like that. So how could you love an island? You never wanted us to get the Tobago House of Assembly. How could you love, how could you really, really love Ireland to give the people that what they truly deserve or what they benefit? So I go back from the genesis that day, because Mr. Williams used a statement in 76. He would not send the police or the Coast Guard to stop us. If they want to go, let them go. So he was hell-bent on not, because he lost the 2 seats in Tobago, that Tobagonians could go to hell, in other words.
Here's the next thing too. All of us have seen, especially in the House and so on and elsewhere, the kind of condemnation, the venom, and the different things that have been leveled against Mr. Duke, right? In the House. Isn't it interesting how condemnation don't turn to commendation?
Yes. Politics makes strange bedfellows, as they say, you know, because the man you hate last week, all of a sudden is your savior.
Yes, so when Mr. Duke jumped out and so on, PNM people start to lick their lips.
Yes.
They start to lick their lips because they say, aha, you understand, the whole thing go mash up for one thing and all that kind of stuff, you know. And then you hear people now, because the Tobago PNM leader it is reported that he said that the call for election, it is not on constitutional grounds, and I'm paraphrasing, but on moral grounds. Could you imagine? Ansel Dennis talking about moral grounds. Let me go to the dictionary.
But where was the morality on the 25th of January 2021?
Let me pull up a dictionary on my phone and see what morality means. Right? Let me see what morality means. And so let's skip the conversation. Let me find out morality means.
But where was the morality?
Yes.
When it was 6-6?
No, well, let me see what morality means. Because you see, the challenge with the English language is that words change their meaning from time to time.
Especially in politics.
You understand? No, but seriously, I learned that because I was told that in the Latin version of the word enthusiastic, when that word was just formed, enthusiastic meant at that time insane.
Okay.
You understand?
Well, I get what you're
progressively. Yes, it now means excited.
Right.
So perhaps the word morality changed its meaning last week.
Oh goodness.
It had to be.
Well, I mean,
so I'm looking.
Former Prime Minister Pandey did say that politics has a morality of its own, and we are seeing that playing out live and in living color.
I don't even think. I was thinking about that today. It can't be politics have a morality. politicians, perhaps.
I feel that is what he meant to say, actually.
Yes.
And that is actually closer to the truth in my view, because, you know, I didn't run for an election in December, so I am appointed as a councillor. And sometimes I feel like if I'm standing on the outside looking in, because I don't have the added responsibility of having to represent an electoral district.
Right.
So I think that I could kind of put myself in some places to hear what the ground is saying and that kind of thing. And, you know, I purposefully did not look at Mr. Duke's lives and stuff that he was doing over the course of the last 3 months, because I like to protect my mental health. I'm good. I'm not even on Facebook, so I really am good at protecting my mental health.
Hear this now. Pollard, hear this. And you that are viewing, pick up your dictionary, right? Remember, the point is, my contention is Mr. Ansel Dennis and others like him are saying the call for an election is on moral grounds, right? I'm looking up the word morality in the dictionary. Definition: concern with distinction between good and evil. Let me stop there.
Hey, that's a word for tonight.
Between good and evil,
word for tonight.
right or and wrong. Let me say it again. Morality. Get your dictionary. Concern with the distinction between good and evil, right and wrong, right or good conduct.
Hey.
Good conduct, motivation based on ideas of right and wrong. Which part this definition here? Which application you could find that this could be even mentioned in the same sentence with Ansel Dennis?
I'm telling you. No
so you're
and we're just talking about the evidence that's out there.
Well, I mean, aside from the, and I mean, it really is disappointing.
Yes.
I mean, to the point where I'm asking myself, these can't be the same people that were doing what they were doing.
A jungle man catch it at a straw.
Because I think for the average Tobagonian, they would feel a sense of confliction, I suppose. They feel conflicted. Because, you know, we had this 6-6 situation, and people felt that, okay, an executive that was holding on without a clear majority in the House, and in the absence of trying to maybe work out an arrangement where we could have shared power, which was an option that was available, and it was clear that that was not an option that they wanted to exercise because they wanted to hold on to absolute power.
But don't talk about what they do with that six.
All of that, and we know what that led to.
Yes.
But the thing is that the average Tobagonian during that time might have felt, well, look, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel fair, because we chose 6 people on one side, and we chose 6 people on the other side. In other words, we didn't choose a party.
Right.
We chose the 6 on this side who we feel could represent those 6 districts.
Right.
And we chose 6 on the other side who we feel could represent those 6 districts. So, okay, 6-6. December, they choose 14. So it doesn't even mean to me at that point, is it that Tobagonians voted for a party or people? Because I know, having gone out on the campaign trail and having campaigned with different candidates, that when people went in the booth to vote, when they put the X by the name, it's because they had this feeling in their mind that this person could work hard, could represent them, could do the job, could get it done, could be accessible, could whatever. They had confidence that this person was deserving of their vote. And I dare say that Tobagonians still have that same confidence in the persons that they elected last year. And if they have that same confidence in the and I want you to look up the word democracy, because what has happened here is really us exercising our democratic right to say we cannot align ourselves with madness. Because it is madness to think that it is okay for you as a political leader to say, I have chosen this person to go forth and represent the party as the person who would lead the charge, as the person who would take charge of this aspect of things, the THA, because he ran for general. So his eyes were set on Parliament. His eyes weren't set on the THA per se. I have chosen this person to lead the team. I've chosen this person to be that person there. And now, because for whatever reason, you feel that that person should be beholden to you.
Yeah.
And your whims and fancies outside of how governance is set up, outside of how it is legally set up.
Right.
How could that be right?
Right.
In addition to that, the thought of even, for whatever reason, you expelled 3 deputy political leaders because I had to talk the party business now. I was a member.
Yes, yes.
Right? Yes. Where was the opportunity? Where was the general meeting?
Right.
Where was you to say, okay, members, supporters, I'm having a challenge with my deputies.
Right.
Let us see how we could solve this inside.
Right.
I, as an ordinary member, didn't get that opportunity to come and hear what your challenge was so that I can say now, you know what, political leader, you know, now that I understand the situation, you know, maybe you're right. Or maybe, no, we could solve this inside. We could take another view. You know, there are ways and means for us to do this thing. You pick up on your own and expel them, which was a shock and surprise to, I think, the average member. I mean, I can't speak for the executive. They may have had knowledge of the situation prior. But it's a shock to the average member because you hear, okay, this happened. What is the thing that precipitated that? Was there a series of bad behavior that led up to the thing? So it looked like if you took this decision by yourself because you're emotional, you're angry, you're vexed, you're whatever, you do that. Okay, fine. You didn't even leave it there. Because as I said, I have not listened to his things because I like to protect my mental health. But I was privy to 1 or 2 clips, you know, people sharing on a thing. And I saw a clip where he literally say, get out my party. So if what am I supposed to do at that point? Because it means that you've closed the door on any kind of reconciliation. You've closed the door on any kind of conversation. You haven't given the membership the opportunity to come together and say, okay, let's mediate. Let's fix this. Because you're talking about let's fix this on the outside, but you don't want to fix nothing on the inside. You literally just want to burn down the house. Well, okay. If you say for we to come out, it is only so much abuse.
And that's,
a person could take. And that is what we were subjected to as we were abused to the point where we simply had to say, you know what, sir, if this is what you're on, because the reality is that the PDP had become part of my DNA. Bamboo Bulife was part of my DNA. But I didn't vote for an autocracy. I didn't vote for a one-man party. I didn't vote for that. I didn't join that.
Let me ask this question, and Paula, you weigh in on this. We've seen on the Tobago landscape, and I borrowed this phrase from something I was looking at in another place, where trying to make to see what is the difference between a Tobagonian leader and a leading Tobagonian. You understand? And how that impacts allegiance and so on, right? I don't know what are your thoughts on that? I mean, but we have seen that a lot of our leaders emerge as leading Tobagonians. You understand? And in there's nothing inherently wrong with that, you know. But to run government in the Tobago space, seems to me that you need a Tobagonian leader that is driven by Tobago affairs, that the Tobago-ness, the Tobago concern, rather than a leading Tobagonian. If you understand the point I'm making there, you understand? I've heard that phrase. What are your thoughts?
Well, I must say from the inception, I'm one who commended Mr. Duke for the forthright move that he made in forming this party and being a real freedom fighter on Tobago behalf, because, like I said, I've been in this for the last 40-something years.
Since in diapers.
Yes, I've been in this. So I've gone through from Mr. Robinson to Mr. Charles.
And mind you, even if, let me just put one thing in there, no one is taking that away from him.
No.
None of us are taking that away from him.
I commend him on that bold movement, because I said this is like a Shaka Zulu. This is a man to free us from the shackles of Port of Spain and PNM. And when he started that move, probably Secretary Boris doesn't know, but you would know the genesis of when he started. But in April, Secretary Boris, I was approached by our then leader that he wanted to oust Mr. Chavez and make me chief secretary.
That's the first time
in April.
He tried to depose the chief secretary. Of course, there was no constitutional footing for that to happen. But the fact that I
want the camera to put a close up on my face.
But the fact that and you see, wow. There are persons we understand. We understand persons are. Every leader will have the people that support you and are loyal to you. In order for you to be any kind of leader, you will have that.
But not only that. I am a man who grew up playing sport. I'm a team player. And I told him, you cannot want to destroy something that you build.
Yeah.
You build this from ground up. You cannot want to destroy it. And I would not be part of undermining anyone. You came to us and said you're going to make Farley this chief secretary. And we supported that.
Right.
And I'm going to support
and
it.
by extension.
Yeah. Because I said you have taught to think through the process. Because you know at some point in time, you will have to be in the background. And I keep telling him, I bring an analogy of sport. I say if you're a captain on a football team and you're playing in the World Cup final and you get injured and you come off, when it's time to lift the trophy, it's not who is on the team. It's the captain that will have to lift the trophy. And I keep trying to explain to him that you cannot destroy what you build. You have to work on it and you have to work things out. But I mean, I don't know where it came from of trying to depose the chief secretary, but I wasn't going to have any part of it because I'm a part of a team. And that's how I am.
Well, Mr. Pollard has dropped a bombshell because I don't think the average Tobagonian certainly was aware of that.
No, you see, we have been holding our tongue, so we have been holding our tongue on many issues.
And what I would add to that is that what people have to understand, and coming back to your question about morality and people using the word morality in a loose context, yes? They conspired to remove their sitting chief. Those people.
But that's the thing.
We will not do that on this side.
No.
We will not do that.
No.
I forget
we agreed. We all agreed when he chose chief as the person who would lead the THA. We all came behind the chief.
Yes.
And there was no issue. There was no problem. Nothing that I think conversation and humility could not solve.
Mind you, they have sometimes when we lead up to the campaign, that they will have members in the organization. I would tell them, you have to give Mr. Duke respect. This is his organization.
Yes, certainly.
And so, because I'm a fair person.
Right.
No, they say I'm a black hat, but I'm a fair person.
So you're great sometimes.
But I think all of us knew that. Because people criticize me. You remember when the candidate for Charlottesville that ran against the chief secretary. Somebody put up some videos and stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the chief secretary saying, we will not use those videos
and we would not
share them and all of that.
Promote that.
And that kind of took my respect for him in another place.
Because we would not campaign like the people we were trying to replace. And the thing is that, again, I'm coming back because like people forget the recent history. The recent history is that these people had a democratically elected person as a chief secretary and removed him in the middle of his term.
Indeed.
And now they're talking about what's going on this side. This side is united. The independent 16 is united. In fact,
that's morality.
And it almost pains me to say this. The Progressive Democratic Patriots is not a democratic party. Because if it was a democratic party, then it means that the membership would have had a voice in all of this. Where is the voice of the membership? To say, Mr. Duke, Mr. Augustine, this is internal party business, because this have nothing to do with governance.
Right.
You felt a particular way about a particular situation. You tried to paint it as if we abandoned some people outside. That was never the case. In fact, I think we went above and beyond to extend our hands to help these people. But you use that as your red cape, and you're trying to, I don't know who bull you're trying to flash it in front of. And you was hoping that we would have run you over, but no, we're not gonna do that. The thing is that we also tried to reach out to him and say, look, let's have a discussion before it even went that way. And all of those attempts behind closed doors were refused. And the response to all of that was to go on social media and disparage us and abuse us and treat us as if we are your enemies.
Even before he got there, Secretary Boris, is that okay? He's under his portfolio, he has Secretary for Diaspora Affairs.
Exactly.
So you're out there, and here was the second point about it. This is a group coming out from your electoral district.
Yes.
That have been given the most money to travel. So if you see something is wrong out there, first thing you have to do is try to amend it, try to fix it. Give us a call. Oh, XYZ be the case. As the chief secretary, we can't just, the chief secretary cannot just sign a check and just send it out in America. But if you have your credit card or whatever you have over your people, put this in place and then give us a call. But there was no chat, there was no call made to the
executive. It was almost like if his actions were to hold us to ransom.
Yes.
For a situation that was not of our own creation.
Escalate the whole, his whole.
You know, in 1986, I sat in a room listening to a lecturer from Palestine. He's a Palestinian Arab. And he was saying to us that the Arabs are a warlike people. They are at home in aggression and stuff. He said, you know, when peace came, when peace came, they just
they didn't know what to do themselves.
Among themselves because they just not. You understand? And you know, I said to myself, there are different kind of leaders in the world.
And some people are built for war.
For different situations. You understand what I'm saying? And none of us can take away from Mr. Duke's exploits in the trade union movement and those kinds of things. I just think that in the governance like the THA, where you have to have and respect the views of the people that have been elected to serve and so on.
The rules and the institution and the systems.
But I think he missed out on a great opportunity of becoming the next prime minister of this country in a long-term plan, because we know that governance of any party depends solely on the 2 seats in Tobago. And once we had stayed under the same umbrella and won the 2 seats in Tobago, we know what it is like in Trinidad, a deadlock. And if this party, PDP, was able to connect 1 seat in Trinidad, you would have had a great bargaining chip. Because as it comes down now, it's only 1920 or 1921 is in Trinidad.
The thing is,
but I think he missed out a great opportunity if he had, behaved in a manner that is becoming.
Secretary Pollard, I am one of those people that believe that power only reveals character. And that some people, you give them the power and it truly shows who they are. And now we are left with the truth of who this person is. He can no longer pretend, he can no longer hide, he can no longer make excuses, because literally our response since he started and our response as a collective was, don't respond, don't hit back, don't, you know, because it's almost pitying to see, in my view, a man who has done something great. Because to literally move a party from one man with a bullhorn on that street light to what the PDP became in the time, nobody could take that away from him. He had to do that work. But I always think about the story of Moses and the Israelites. There was a reason why Moses was left outside the gates. There was a reason. Moses was the one to take the people out of Egypt, but he wasn't the one to take them to the promised land.
Right.
Yeah?
Listen, I wanted to finish this story also, and I want to be clear. I was making that example, not at all to attack the former candidate that ran against the chief secretary. I was making the point that the entire PNM support rallied around her. You understand? Rallied around her, protecting her and so on, and supporting her and so on, which was a noble thing because they are part of the same organization and so on. So when I stood in Ravenels, making the same analogy and saying against some of the attacks that were coming against Mr. Duke, and so I say, well, if you all could rally around one of your own, why do you object of us rallying? You know, because people try to say, you were saying that you're rallying Duke the last time, but now we are. So people have these kinds of, you know, struggle between these lines.
But I think that people have to understand that there is a limit to defending something that you no longer stand for the thing. Because the reality is, as I said, the party was new, so you come in and you're trying to help build out something which is different to what you were seeing before. And you think that you have this very honest opportunity to do so. But when you realize that it's a situation where, because I was willing to fight, you know, I was willing to wait and see where the thing went and, you know, kind of try to fight internally to see if we could, you know, get back to the place where we started. But the reality is that the party is owned by Mr. Duke. Legally, the party is his, so that he could have any time said, I do not want you guys to be a part of this thing anymore. I want to go with my thing because it's my thing, and we could not take that from him, even if we had an election in the party. Let's just say we whipped up the supporters and we said, you know what, let's call the election because there's an election that's supposed to happen. And we say we want to have an election for leadership because we want a new leader. Let's just say if we said that, even if we elected a new leader, he legally owns the party. And he could have said, look, I don't accept this. I don't accept any of what you've said because this thing is mine. And it come like the story of the boy with the bat and the ball and they're playing cricket in the community. When he out, is he bat and he ball? He want to stay in and bat the whole time. And if people start to complain, he say, well, all right, all I could complain. And he take up his bat and he ball and he go anyway. And that's exactly what it is. You know, and you're left with nothing. So what you're supposed to do? Stop playing cricket.
I was in Sandy Grande. This is on a lighter note. I was in Sandy Grande. And them guys played cricket in the road. And this man out, boy. That man go home and come back with a 3-seam cutlass.
What? Well, you see, well, that's extremist kind of. But that's just to tell you.
The wicket.
Okay, and the game had to mash up because when you reach on that kind of level of madness, what you could do, and you know, just coming back to it, and again, I mean, I know this conversation will have to continue, and it will continue with different personalities on our side. But to answer even the concerns about, is there a challenge here in terms of the legality of the operation of the THA? I want Tobagonians to understand the wisdom of the crafters of that THA Act. They made it so that a party cannot try a coup, in a sense, because what was attempted was a coup. This is what was attempted, and this is an attack on the democracy of Tobago and the democracy of the persons who have fought to defend our rights and to protect the rights that we have enshrined in the Constitution. The people of Tobago did not vote for Watson Duke as Chief Secretary. And if he was the Chief Secretary candidate, I'm willing to put my head on a block to say he would not have won. The reason why, one of the biggest reasons why we have come into office is because of the young man who is sitting in this seat as Chief Secretary now. And now is the time that the people of Tobago have to rally behind this young man and the team. Because at the end of the day, you know how this helps us actually? This helps us because you cannot blame a party for our failures.
But but the truth is, while there are some people that are saying the party and we shouldn't leave the party, and if you as the area rep, if they do not appreciate, they're not blaming the parties.
No, they're blaming you. Your name is the one that is called. But if something good happens, it's the party.
But you see, the other side of this is that those who try to create the noise on the other side, it's because, I mean, that's their job as opposition. But it's because they were caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And they want to get back there where they could continue doing the madness that they were doing. That some of the things that we met in our divisions, where contracts were given out without any proper approval or authorization. I mean, so these are the things. So they are trying to stir up the noise among
They're trying to go back to the dark ages, in my view.
Of course.
Because that was the dark ages of governance in Tobago. And a whole no what I'm about to say.
So they are the ones who trying to stir up all this kind of mess about this, about morality and stuff like that. Please, you don't have the moral authority to say that to us.
That's the truth. That's true. I mean, I have said in the house more than once, and at the risk of sounding miserably monotonous, I say it again, there are words like morality and transparency
and integrity and all of these things that
should be banished from the PNM vocabulary for the next 2 decades. You understand?
200 decades.
But let's talk. Let's move the conversation a little in another place. I mean, because we could go on with this all night. But in the divisions, I mean, Tasha, you've led the division, you know, tourism, and we have to say that we are so impressed by your work, along with Assistant Secretary Morrison and so on, and what has evolved since you took the helm and so on. But we know that it can't be easy. We know. You know, talk a little bit about the work. Talk about the work.
You know, I mean, as I always tell people, I think maybe, and coming back to your analogy, sometimes it's easier to be in opposition, because I guess your only job is to criticize and cuss, right? But then when you get inside, you know, the actual work is really, you know, you have to have a very steep learning curve, because we didn't have prior experience at all, whether it be as representatives, you know, as secretaries, so you have to come in and you have to learn very quickly how things are done, and gaining an appreciation of how something moves from an idea to actual reality.
Right.
In the last year, I think that what we've been able to accomplish is really getting people to push, because you're moving from a place of stagnancy. And things were kind of stagnant in Tobago in general, but then COVID kind of really dampened things. And then now we opened up fully this year, and you realize that we have so many things to get done, because we're so behind our other counterparts throughout the region.
Right.
And it was just a matter of, okay, we have to get the events done. We have to build out structures. We have to appoint the boards. We have to get the companies moving and ensuring that we could have our plans in place, because everything has to make sense now, because even we campaigned on accountability, we campaigned on transparency, so that everything that we do now is going to be scrutinized even more. The reality is that we're gonna make mistakes, and we're humble enough to admit, yeah, we made a mistake. How can we do this better?
Right.
Part of the work also is getting the right people involved, because you go in and you find that either one, you don't have qualified people in place to do the work you want to do, or two, the people who are in place are not qualified and cannot perform the function that you need them to perform. So how do you now maneuver all of those realities? To tell you the honest truth, there's a core of people within the division who are workhorses. Like every time something came up, we literally had to depend on the same set of people to get the work done.
Right.
But then there are the people behind those people, which are the engines, the account section, the procurement section. All of these sections have to work, because if they're not working, nothing is moving.
Right.
And I am very thankful that we have people at least who have the passion to show up to work every day, because it's not easy. You know, I mean, nothing is perfect, and I think that even my focus this year is inward facing. We have to be strategic and intentional, because we have to, aside from being in government and creating a society that people are happy in, because we need to create a society where people, they have access to opportunities. Healthcare is good, education system is good, crime level is low, people have access to housing, people have access to opportunities and good jobs, and that creates a society that makes people happy. A huge part of people's lives out there spending in the workplace. How are we now crafting the Tobago House of Assembly as being a model employer of persons? Because we employ a huge chunk of the workforce in Tobago. If you have to look at the health of the island, check the workforce. The first people you have to look at is the people who work within the THA. And if you see a demotivated people, if you see people who are not passionate about what they do, if you see people who might be just as corrupt as the people who we just, you know, who we moved away from a year ago. These are the things that we have to fix.
Right.
Because aside from being on the outside looking in a year ago and saying, okay, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, wherever. We've seen all the things on the outside that are not working. There are many things on the inside that are also not working. And that has to be the focus. We really have to get down to the work of fixing the organs of the Tobago House of Assembly. Because if you could fix the organs, then that translates out, that ripples outward to the rest of the island. And that is why it's so important for us to be united in this time. It is so important for the people of Tobago to rally behind the leadership and help the leadership. We don't have all the answers. You know, sometimes people get tired. Sometimes people are stressed for different reasons. And, you know, tongue and teeth meet, as people will say. But please don't take anything that anybody says personally, because at the end of the day, we lose sleep every night over this idea of governance.
Indeed,
we lose sleep every night. I mean, I can't remember the last time I truly relaxed, because even if I take a little nap, I'm feeling guilty because my phone might ring, I might miss a message, and you know when you don't answer your phone, they want to cuss and thing, and it's not that enough. I really, sometimes people holding a whole talk or a meeting so long, you can't even answer the phone, and by the time you get to the messages, it's after 10 in the night. I'm not returning a call after 10 in the night.
I have a blood pressure machine on my desk.
Yeah, you know, I just tell people, I said the guaranteed way to get me, send me a WhatsApp, explain to me what your situation is. I will respond. But getting on the phone, most often times you're in meetings all day, you're in, you know, and you really can't answer your phone. So, I mean, we have to try different ways to really, you know, beef up on that communication with people. And I think that this next year, we also have to focus on going out into the communities more. People have to see us again, and not campaigning, or not campaign style going out in the communities, but more like how could we get the governance structures within the communities working so that people feel that things are happening, and they don't necessarily have to go to an area rep because they see a village council working, or they see the community groups coming together and doing things, or they see the sporting groups coming together and doing stuff, so that people feel that there are avenues to get to the things that they need to get without even having to reach the area rep. And this is, to me, the strength in what is happening now. The opportunity to have inclusive governance. The opportunity for people to be part even more so of the process, because you've eliminated the party. So we're not thinking about what the party wants and who what board position and thing. People will get board position on merit now. If you're working in the community and we see that you're doing good work, then we could put you on a board, and it's not because you walk up and down with a campaign. This is a great time in the history of Tobago.
Paula, jump in, right there.
You know what you see? You know what you see? As Secretary Boris said, it's a good thing that we have done in the first year, and I'm pleased with what I've done, because the quagmire that we met in our divisions, we had to straighten it out. Because the divisions are there to serve the communities, and if you don't get it right in the divisions, you cannot perform in the communities. You can't give the communities anything that they truly deserve. Because I mean, first thing we had to start is to demoralize staff. Down by my division, they used to call the staff upstairs Westmoreland and those downstairs in the beat up. I'm telling you, that's what I started to tell you. Downstairs is Beecham, upstairs is Westmoreland.
Even simple sharing of elevators. When I first came in and I was telling people, well, come in the elevator with me. Well, no, nobody rides the elevator with the secretary. But I'm like, but why are we wasting time for me to go upstairs and to come back for you? Well, let me go in the elevator. I mean, I don't understand. This separatist kind of elitist kind. No.
That is what we met in the division. And beside that,
it's crazy.
I mean, everyone was enthusiastic when we got into office. But what I recognize in the division is that some people want to go back to the same old ways. No matter how hard you try to lift them up from where they are and bring a team. Because I had members there who knew nothing, staff members who knew nothing what was taking place in the division. I'm asking for guidance on XYZ and they can't tell me anything. Just for example, it's 2.5 months ago, I know that, I mean, it could be part of my fault for not inquiring, that Adventure in Plymouth could hold another 125 units.
Because this is the thing that
it was completed. There's still even units available in Adventure to give out to the public.
These are things that were held back from the people of Tobago. These things belong to the people of Tobago.
No development has been completed because we haven't got a completion certificate. So we have to stop, so we could stop spending all the money for the maintenance of the wastewater treatment plant, the maintenance and stuff like that.
That could go to other places.
To go to other places. So, I mean, these are things that we are trying to change by changing the policies, bringing in the right staff. We just brought in a director of settlements about a month ago. We have other professional staff to bring in. But my aim in my first year was to try to straighten out the division, bring the services to the community. I explained that to my constituents that you may not see me, but I'm trying to bring stuff to you because my intention, I mean, I don't have a high bar to surpass. The last 2 secretaries built 5 houses in 8 years. So I don't have a high bar to really get over.
Let's put up one.
And
you're good.
A piece. So, so I mean, we gave out about 45 plots in Riseland. We have some we have 16 in Belgarden will be given out before Christmas. So we have some persons will be happy. We have some in Castara, another 19. But the housing units that we are going to embark on from 2023 is totaling 700 plus. Because what we did, we went back to the days of what Mr. Charles did in having all the stakeholders around the table. So the town and country, the EMA, the health, the fire, the TNTech, everybody's around there. So everybody's in one unison in planning the development going forward. So what we want, I can't express it clearer. I am begging Tobagonians. I am begging my people. I have a passion for my nurses, my protective service persons. Just
teachers,
just get yourself qualified. See what you qualify for from your banking, your financial institution. Update your application.
Start to
because
save your money.
It is not going to be like, okay, for family and friends. You're going to be in a system and you a real opportunity. Now, as secretary, if I put 400 units at Chauvin, I have the authority to pick 100 persons. But if I pick you, Pastor Beans, and you could only qualify for 200,000 for units that cost 500,000, it's no use to you. So I'm asking my people to just get qualified. See what you qualify for from a financial standpoint. Update your application. Houses will start building, and we're not going to build and hold on until election to give out. As we build, we're going to be giving out these houses. So there are 3 or 4 developments that are coming on stream on 2023. Adventia.
Excellent.
Chauvin and at Delphine Mason Hall. And we hope that we could satisfy as much, because we have a database of over 5,000 to 6,000 persons on our database. Looking for houses. And I mean, we want to encourage family life. As the Chief Secretary instructed us, a development for young professionals. Person between 25 and 40. We have so much young persons in the fire service, young men and young women who, I mean, they're working, but they're renting or they're home. It's better you pay a mortgage. And I'm trying to tell my people, please do not be caught up by the banking institution to give you motor cars. You cannot live in your motor car. Take that money and invest it into a home for your families. So we could develop, because the United Nations did a study, and our housing stock in Tobago here is way too low. Way too low. So like today we had a meeting with the Chief Secretary and the Permanent Secretary to the Jamaica Prime Minister. And we're going to change some social housing issues. We're going to change the policies to suit. We're going to change our grant structure, because what we see taking place is that in our grants that we have available at the distribution, it's more of a want and not of need. So we're going to turn that way, change that way. The persons who are most needy will be given the grants. Because you have persons that I met there, in what happened in the dispensation before, who over the threshold of getting grants, but you see they were given grants. So those persons who really need it are living in squalor. Really are not getting it.
And you see, the thing about that is that it really messes up how the thing is supposed to set up.
And people lose confidence. People lose confidence in the whole system.
Even in how society is supposed to run. For instance, you have certain jobs, you have certain facilities that you would put in society to help those that may be at the lowest part of the
Of course.
Right? But then when the system is abused and people that are not supposed to be there, you find that they clog up the place. All them social programs, URP, CPEP, that they were designed to assist people at this level. Then there are people who could do better, find themselves in the program. So the people that really need the service
cannot get in.
One of the things that we are working on and really glad is preparing the framework, and we're almost there, that will guide and be the reference point for the rollout of the community financing, so that the districts themselves can be responsible for their own development and so on. It is an amazing idea in putting in the devolution of power, moving the power from the center, and so on, giving the executive a little more breathing room to be more innovative and to focus on strategy.
I have a situation where this former secretary could write a note and tell one of his colleagues of hierarchy in the party, go and occupy a house for 10 months until you qualify. Something that could not be done by this independent 16. Could never come and ask me to do something like that.
And not just that. It's not even in a situation where there's an emergency. There are people who have lost homes, who social services has to try and scramble to find accommodation for. These are the people who should be given those types of assistance.
What I've noticed is that even the staff at the division, what we're going to implement on these draws coming up is that staff must, 2 or 3 staff must be beneficiary of homes when we make this draw lands. They must be part of. You can't be working on a system and seeing everybody benefiting and you just doing moralize, paying rent the same way. So we're going to make that as a principle, a policy that staff given a certain percentage that when they draw that, okay, 2 or 3 staff members will be getting these homes or these
man. I am really, really encouraged by the idea of the communities being empowered, really, because there is a tremendous kind of dependency that is in the society. And it is something that has been nurtured over the years and so on. And so it is a behavior that is common practice. And I feel like when people are empowered, because the Tobagonian we know
was not like that. Was a proud person.
He's a proud, independent person. Like to run your own affairs and so on.
And hence not continue, but hence the reason on my trip to Jamaica. That's why I'm saying when we go on our next trip. That I went to a village in Woodford at the base of the Blue Mountain. And I mean, these people putting down a tank 55 feet by 25 feet by 33 feet. And you know what they did? Everybody who comes to the meeting works with 500 Jamaican every meeting. Not 1 cent coming from the government. The road needs to be fixed, they fix it. And this is how Tobagonians were.
And we have to get back to that
Pre-2001, this is what Tobagonians were like. I know guys when they were fixing the street in Maysnall, used to go competition to mix 200 barrels of stuff. So that they could go home early. But now you find guys sitting down 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock waiting on a cement truck to come.
And you know, one of the things that gave me hope, because when I came into the mix, my lamentation has always been about this dependency and the large percentage of the workforce, in the government and so on. And when I came in and met the vocational skills program at the Division of Community Development and so on, that program is running for close to 2 decades. So it's not my program, it's a program that was there at the division and so on. And when I saw during COVID time, the subscription for the students and teachers, I was amazed that we were oversubscribed in the both times that I've seen it there since I there. Oversubscribed. And then now when I saw the work of the students, about 2 weeks ago, last week probably, there were some displays down in Shaw Park and so on, the kind of work that these people, and when we were at the food hub, the 60th birthday bash at the food hub, there were some persons there that went to the program, peddling the goods and so on. When we did the road market in Castara, people there, and you realize that there is so much indigenous talent and indigenous work.
But Secretary Baines, you see that this has been encouraged by the PNM for 21 years. Because they came in here and they never did anything to try to encourage the private sector. A country cannot develop with public sector only. And I always say that the first chief secretary under the PNM was only interested in creating a vote bank. When you only encourage employment in the government, where 70-something% of your island is employed by the government.
What is left?
I mean, what is left? What is
because
left?
We have an entire tourism industry to rebuild. And the government cannot rebuild that industry. All of the inputs for the tourism sector have to be largely private sector driven. In addition to that, and I will give you an idea on air, that we have to move from just training.
So far,
we have to move from just training people, because if you talk about a program that has been training people over the last 20 years and in different things, sewing, tailoring, bread and pastry making, things like that, where are the bakeries? Why we still have kids coming up here supplying bread to the island when we have all these trained bakers around? If you understand what I mean. So we have to move from simply just having a model where there's training. And what I would say to you is this: now we have to create our own version of our Amazon. Because if we have people sewing drapes, and they could just sew drapes, and we create a database, we create a website, people could now click. It's like an online artisan market, similar to your road market. But now I could buy. So I need drapes for the Christmas. I don't have to wait for your road market to go and see what drapes are available. I'll go on the artisan market website, Tobago. I click on this one. I get to order my drapes. They come delivered to my door. I pay with my credit card online. This is money going back directly into the pockets of Tobagonians.
Hence, Secretary Boyce, hence the reason why we're asking Tobagonians to have a bit of patience. it doesn't take 1 year to unravel 21 years of total chaos and crap, for want of a better word. So just we need a little patience so that we could really iron things out so that you all could be the beneficiary, because it's not about for us, but we're trying to create a better Tobago for the future generation.
Sure.
And I think that's all we're asking for, a little patience. As Secretary Boris said, we are new. Some of us are new to the job. We have never been in office. It's going to take some time. We are getting pushback in the divisions that we lead.
Yeah.
We are getting serious pushback.
That's the next show.
Yes, that's a whole new topic.
Just all we need is a little patience, but we are doing the best that we can do. And we just know we're going to be rolling out for the next 3 years. All that Tobago can benefit from. That's all we're asking for, a little bit of patience.
Right. I am a perennial optimist. Amidst all that is happening and so on, I mean, I have contended from the very beginning, and you guys can bear me out, that it is God that have us in this place.
Yes.
You know,
God will help us.
When we think about the way we ran the campaign, because running a political campaign is theater.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it requires a tremendous amount of resource and so on. And the way we have run the kind of campaign that we ran, some of us still paying off bills and so on from election as we speak a year later and so on. We believe that God will allow us to be in this place. And to whom much is given, much is required. You understand? Yeah. And we do our best. We are, I think people hold us to a much higher standard as well. So we have very little breathing room, unfortunately. Yeah. You understand?
But not that we mind.
Yeah.
Not that we mind.
It keeps us on our toes, certainly.
Yeah. And I think additionally too, that persons have been deprived and feel disenfranchised for so long that the entrance of a new regime lift their hopes so high, and that's what it's really supposed to do, right? That, and we ourselves in our conversation with them were saying, listen, that we're going to do the best that we can. We're going to change this landscape. And you know, when you get into the driver's seat now, you get into the thing, you realize that you find yourself in another kind of conundrum when you get in there.
It's literally a situation where you have 10,000 things to fix. And you're trying to figure out where to start. And the thing that gets fixed first is happy. But the thing that have to wait for position number 10,000 want to kill you.
Because and the thing is that the persons, our charges, those that got us in this seat, like, for instance, the people of Bethel, New Grange, where for me and so on, they are not always patient to understand these intricacies that we try to describe. Because when a man under pressure, when a man need the road fixed, when a man need food on his table and so on, and we have to balance those things. I mean, all of us as area reps, all of us. No matter we say we're going to take care of our family and whatever, we still find ourselves spending our own resource to do stuff. You understand? And I think that this job, if you don't love people, you wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do this job. And in addition to that, I would say that I think we kind of have to do a better job educating members of the public as to really how government works. Because, for example, you may have a road that needs to be fixed. But if in the secretary in preparing his estimates last year, only put in for 20 roads to get fixed, and your road wasn't one of them. Except that we get another injection of monies. Your road will not be on that list to be fixed.
Indeed.
And it's not
when
as
I talk
simple
about road
as
and Secretary James is present, he doesn't. He's look away.
Well, yes.
And don't need any more roads.
And you see, that's the thing. People, we have to understand that even in our development, the reality is that we have been starved by a central government. And that all of the things that we want to fix require money. But if it is, we know it requires $1 billion, $1 billion US at that, not even TT. But we only get in something like 200 million every year. If we could have fixed everything in 1 year, if we had the money, we would, because certainly we have the drive and the passion. But if you're getting only 2 cents a year, it means that you have to save that up to reach to the dollar.
And here's another point, as you say, Natasha, because
and we will not get there.
You know, I found, like I went to I went to visit this week on Tuesday one of the roads that were paved, right? A lot of the infrastructure works in Bethel New Grange, over about 82 to 84 million dollars was spent on road infrastructure just leading up to the election. Right? Some of the road infrastructure posing some problems now. It have two main areas like this.
Poor planning.
Yeah, but something about it that people know their homes are being flooded
and compromised.
Yeah. One in particular, the drain network is much too small, so the volume of water that comes, it just runs into the people's property and so on. And thankfully, Secretary James has made a commitment, that we're gonna try and fix that and so on. But somebody in terms of the planning, so you invest this money, and we have to somehow get away from that kind of thing, where coming to an election, they spend all this money.
All of a sudden you're paving out road, but then you're not bothering about the drains. So when rain fall, the road paved, but all the water running from the road into a drain that could no longer
those monies that should be used to do some other thing, we have to know the road paving up, but we have to know one fix drainage for people who have flooding.
Proper planning would have solved that challenge.
Because they always had the thought that things like this, spending money in this wild fashion just before election will win votes. Clearly it wasn't so in the last two elections. Because they have spent over $300 million within the last 2 months before the both election, and it didn't bring them any victory, any substantial victory. Because it was 6-6 and then now they lost 14-1. So clearly we would have learned from that. Because once you treat people and you give people what they need in small increments, they can't do everything at one time. But we could do this and it builds up and people say, well, yes, at least you're trying.
Yes, we're seeing things happening.
But I want to go back to the fact that, as I had a discussion today with the chief, that the division of settlements is one of the divisions that could have the greatest impact on the landscape, because we're into housing. Construction is what revolutionized an economy. And the same young people that we are out there saying that they don't have any work, I want to put a call out tonight. When these projects start, we want to see you employed, because I want that the money to stay here in Tobago. So I don't want you on the roadside, the young men, the young women with the skills that could make the breakfast and the cooking and whatever. I mean, there is money to be made. So I want you to be mentally prepared now, because I'm trying to implement a 2-shift system with these contractors. Because while I was going to school in university, I would work 8 to midnight in construction in the summertime. If we're ready to develop an island, we cannot go with the regular 8 to 4, knowing that we only have six months of dry season, 6 months of rainy season.
And we get in proper rain.
And you understand? So we don't have to extend and do things. I usually say, tower lights is not only for party. Tower lights is to be used in construction. But I want my people to be ready. I'm begging of the young people to be ready. I hope there's a bus of activities at the division for persons coming and update their application and put their things in order. Just come and make the staff busy. Just come and apply. I'm begging.
I mean, and we have to see that in the 1 year, people will have expressed their displeasure about stuff here and there, but all things being equal.
To be fair,
man. I mean, we have done collectively an amazing job. I heard one of the most sacrilegious things mentioned, where somebody say that we have done more damage in 1 year than in 21 years. It's a mad people out there, no? It's a crazy people out there to say something like that.
But maybe damage to the mindset. Yeah. To unhealthy mindset.
Indeed. I think about what Secretary Hackett and Assistant Secretary Kerr has been doing in education. What they've been doing with maxi drivers and what they've been doing with the schools and all the other things. And
having district nurses in the schools and things that we didn't have before, and the smart boards coming in.
Yes. I think about what Secretary Pantin has been doing.
Agriculture. Revolutionizing.
And Assistant Secretary Tate.
Yes, revolutionizing.
I mean,
and every minute
Secretary Pantin doing something.
Yes.
And I don't know any secretary of agriculture that has done the work in their term.
That was she did in 1 year.
None. And I defy you to refute that.
Yes.
You understand? You know, amazing work. I mean, we don't even want to talk about the capital of paradise.
Yes.
And the catch, the amount of fish is
all of us on the capital of paradise could catch fish.
It's a revenue earner.
We didn't even know where the boat was before.
Yes. You understand? And so and the work of course that has been done by Secretary James and
Assistant Secretary.
Well, I'm sorry for him. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for him.
Yes, and Assistant Secretary Samson. Because when
people didn't even know URP could do so much.
I'm telling you,
and URP is almost overwhelmed now with the amount of requests that they have for things.
I'm telling you.
They have done a tremendous job.
Indeed, and when we think about how stretched the team is, trying to treat with all the climate change issues and stuff, and the work from landslides and all that kind of thing. You understand?
People, as soon as landslide happen, people out there clearing roads. Sometimes you don't even know the landslide happened, the road done clearing. And I must commend the Tobagonians that are working in the division of infrastructure, because we have seen unprecedented weather in the last couple of weeks.
Of course.
And when we look at the response that Tobago, because versus Trinidad, they have road that are clear yet, the Manzanilla and these places essentially still cut off after how long? And in Tobago, things happening, and yet still we are able to maintain the roadways and maintain the connectivity throughout all the parts of the island. And we have not received an extra cent of funding from central government for those rehabilitation works that we've been doing.
But I must give a plug to Secretary James, because I mean, when I campaigned in 2021 in my electoral district with Bay Hill in King Peter Bay Road, well, it was 192 steps you had to traverse. Senior citizens. And now, as they say in the Jamaican song, as they used to say in Jamaica, when mongoose used to run car drive, they know.
I come up there to fly a kite. I come there, we're going to fly kite.
I have to stamp your passport first.
Don't worry. You're flying kite up in
yes, of course.
And of course, the work that Dr. Faith and Assistant Secretary Craig doing over there at Health. I mean,
look.
Going up on the screen.
Man, I'm pictures,
as I told him, I came, I saw, and we delivered.
Yeah. So I mean, and some of the reports that we're getting from the work that has been done by Dr. Faith and Assistant Secretary Craig and so on, and they're showing off now because they're in a brand new space.
New building.
And all kind of thing. The first day they come over there, I had a power shortage over by me in community development, but I was told it's not their presence. So I said, okay, you understand. But we are so encouraged.
Yeah.
The team works very hard.
Yeah. And
especially the chief secretary.
Indeed.
Especially the chief secretary.
We come to him and we leave it for last.
Yes.
We leave it for last because all of us stand flabbergasted as how this man
does do it. You have to say flabbergast. Flabbergast. Yes, you have to say. I was shocked.
I don't know how he does do it.
Yeah,
we don't know how he does do it.
We try to figure it out. You understand? Because we know he's a man. You know, there are a lot of movies and things on TV now where they are meta humans and enhanced humans and so on. You know, but his routine. I think one of the things that impresses me most is his mind.
Yes.
Very sharp.
Very sharp. Very sharp.
Know, very patient man. I mean, right, you know, I mean, I am an extrovert, you understand? And when stuff go wrong, some of the things that has happened, and we call for the nuclear option.
Yeah.
The chief secretary is a man very, very patient. Very patient. Thinks through and all of that. He says that he prays and fasts. The man pray and fast more than me.
Oh boy.
You understand? You know, but heavy is the head that
wears the crown. And he's doing an exceptional job.
Indeed.
And Tobago needs to rally behind
the
chief
Nana, we need rally wrong. We need rally now. Why we forget that by?
Anyway. We know Tobago needs to rally behind the chief because it's not easy you know, I was able to witness his journey firsthand. Even coming into politics, that was a decision that he had to really think of.
Grapple
you know,
with
he had to
it,
grapple with that. And then he gave himself up for public service. And then everything that came with that, being in the minority at first, and going through all that we went through, and then having to fight these 2 back-to-back election campaigns, having to lead the team, and then now having to lead the island as the youngest, as one of the youngest chief secretaries, and certainly at a time when people have very high hopes for change. And I'm saying that this is the change that we voted for, that we are no longer under the yoke of party politics, because party politics in Trinidad and Tobago equals corruption. That's what it is. And it's not just corruption by way of finances, money, but corruption by way of mind. Because you have people now who think that the party is bigger than the country. And that is a dangerous place to be in.
So true.
And we have to ensure that we protect this idea of democracy, this idea that we collectively elected Farley Chavez Augustine to be our chief secretary. We did not elect Watson Duke to be a shadow chief.
Right.
That is what it is.
But Secretary Boyce, as we're talking about the chief, we have to commend Pastor Baines and Wayne
yes,
Waskar for the work that you have done.
Certainly. No, well, we have to blow your trumpet for you.
You know, call me and say, you call everybody.
Yes. But we have to blow your trumpet. Because the transformation
that
that you all have been able to do at the division, I mean, it is mind-blowing.
Yes. And I have to first jump out and talk about Mr. Clark. You know, Mr. Clark says, you know, he never went there. He said those things all the time,
joking,
and so on. But Mr. Clark is an exceptional mind.
Yes.
Exceptional mind. Yes. And the work that he has been able to do with youth and sports, right? Mr. Clark has managed to bridge that gap. This, you know, they always had this animosity with some of the divisions in Tobago and ministries in Trinidad. And he has hammered out an amazing relationship with the Minister of Sport and Minister Kojo and so on, and they work very well together. And that can only augur well for Tobago and for sports and youth and sport affairs.
And he's a man of action, because he actually even goes out himself. Sometimes on some of these sites, and that kind of thing, and really hasn't lost his touch with the people. And you know, I think he's a man that I admire certainly for how he operates. And you know,
he's a man. His tenacity is beyond measure too, because he fought what three elections. You understand? And so I think that he's well deserving of the praise for the work that he is doing. Councillor Sertica
Williams.
That is our guide. That is our light and our guide. That is our light and our guide.
She's the public
secretary. Not see, he got mommy, he calls her.
Now she went quite over there last night for fish roll and sending pictures to tell you.
And showing off,
fish roll and kind of thing. As if they don't catch fish down in Kenya. Anyway, that's another conversation. But what she brings to assist
the experience of the public service.
With the do's and don'ts, the norms and forms and so on, that
keeps us on our toes.
Because it's like someone like me coming from the private sector who has never been in the public sector. I mean, some things I would want to do this way, and she would be like, no, you're not going to do it this way, and give you that guidance. I mean, it is invaluable.
I think we have an excellent team that works well together, and you know, we play on each other's strengths, and iron sharpens iron. I think that even when we see things happening in our colleagues' division, we're thinking, okay, what is the next thing we could do? Where we could collaborate? What else can happen? And I think that these are exciting times ahead for Tobago, because we don't have a lack of ideas and we don't have a lack of passion. You know, we just need the people to get on board with the vision, and the vision remains the same. The vision remains to make Tobago the greatest little island on the planet. That hasn't changed.
But as we go along, and I'm sure I could speak for the team, that we have, as Secretary Boyce said, we had a steep learning curve. I know we'll be out in the fields more this year because now that we have understand the intricacies of the office, we can now leave that behind, put things in place, and then manage our schedule so we could be out in the field. So that is all that is what Tobago could expect from us going forward from the 2023. That will be more out in the community, but we had to set things straight in our divisions first, because those people who are the feeding trough still want to be at the feeding trough at any expense.
Yes.
And as we say, full disclosure,
yes.
They have their moles all over the THA. Who's seeking their interest?
Somebody commanding heights.
Of course, of course.
Last thing I want to throw in, and then we go before Nana cut me off. Nana is my friend.
But this is the first show, so we allow us.
Don't try to get between me, and Nana is my friend. Don't try to get between that, right? But we've not had Christmas and Christmas parties for 2 years.
More than that.
More than that. Expectation is, so high, it give you a nosebleed.
Yes.
You understand?
You're going to Mexico.
In the communities and so on. I plan in Bethel New Grange to do a drive-through, right? To do a drive-through and so on. And people keep messaging me, hope you stop here. Hope you come down here now. Hope you come down here, and that kind of thing. What in terms of the preparation and so on?
Well, I have hopefully my toys will be in Tobago by tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. I have my staff from my division and my constituency staff are working together on the snack packs and everything like that, because I will be having my drive-through in Maysnall from 2 to 6 this Saturday, Maysnall and Concordia, and then I'll have Moriah on Sunday, 2 to 6. And then the hamper distribution will be done on the 23rd of December, where we're gonna give out. But
carnival you have in my
yeah. I have a number of. Remember, I have the biggest electoral district by numbers. So my team has been gathering numbers since August, and then we're gonna see how much kids we're gonna do extra. But the kids of Maysnall, Moriah, look out this weekend, as Pastor Ben say. Make sure you're at the meeting point. Make sure.
I put a caption. I put a caption. Make sure you're there.
Make sure you're there. But we'll be bringing some level of joy to the kids this weekend.
Yes.
It's a very expensive event. It is very expensive, but that is what we are here for, at least to bring some measure of joy relief, because as we know, some parents are unemployed and we like to can't afford to give the kids, so we are trying our best as we have to dig into our pockets.
Of course.
See if we could beg help here and there. We don't know since Secretary Boris does have a constituency, if we could
beg I am sure that she, she's been approached.
Trust me, I've been quietly giving. I certainly don't like to ventilate, but I try to help as much as I'm willing to be a Mrs. Claus, so that's okay.
Okay, Saturday and Sunday. But I must say that I have an exceptional team working with me, as my Jimmy Sylvester, Shana Thomas, Akini, John. I have an excellent team, the whole division, some division, Giselle Small. I have an excellent team and my constituent staff. So we're trying to come together, my wife, my kids, we're trying to put everybody, even to help us. A whole effort, because we really want to get things going and bring some measure of joy and bring back something, because we want to really start the Lend Hand initiative, so that for the Christmas, those senior citizens who can't clean their yards and stuff like that, we can go and do things to make sure we get bring some joy to their heart.
Right. Well. We coming down to the close. We don't want Mr. Nana to get fed up with us and lock the door on us next week.
Oh boy, Jesus.
But
it's the first show. He gave us a little latitude.
But I also want to express my gratitude for the team I work with over there at the division as well, the administrator, the support staff, and so on. I think that we sit down and we have conversations and we try and get the work done. And I am thankful for the people that I work with. There's no fuss and no fight. We try and get it work, do the government work and so on. And I believe that in the coming year, we had some little things that I didn't understand, some little flaws and mistakes and missteps and so on. And we go fix those things and look forward for much more fluent and fluid delivery in the upcoming year. And so on, and more works in the constituency. There are some things coming in the constituency. Some of the things we didn't get to. One of my main babies in the constituency of Bethel New Grange was that jogging track. And incidentally, today was the site visit again, and we're hoping that the contract will be given in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. Even if it's Christmas Day, but we want to get that done, and we know there will be some employment with that and so on. And I think that you know, the future, and we are going to be having conversations with the people of Tobago. We have a tongue meeting that is planned that will be coming up sometime, and the public will be notified about it and so on, where we could have some frank conversations in another place and so on. And this show continues next Thursday. I am trying my best. Hey, look me.
Yes, look me.
Yes. Next week, we hope to, we've confirmed Dr. Fate to be on next week, and we're trying to get the Chief Secretary. We hope that he's still on the planet here, you know, because he's becoming so popular, he may be called on the moon. You understand? So we tried to see if we could get him and so that we can continue with the conversation.
But like you, I would like to extend that same, congratulate you to the staff, because not everybody in the division is on the same page.
Right.
But you know, we have persons coming in bit by bit, and once they see the vision, they will just, because they were so demoralized, they haven't done anything for the last 7-8 years, and now getting them active to get some things done, you know, because I have great members of staff that we just need them to have a little buy-in.
Right.
Because one of them just texts me out, yes, Tono McPherson, you're one of the great staff. my IT specialist, he's always there. No matter what, anytime I call him, he's there. But I wish that all staff members could come on board, see the vision, work with us so that we could make Tobago a better place.
Yes, and what I would like to add to that is that, you know, it's sad that we have bred a culture where people feel they have to work for a politician or they have to work for a secretary. The work that you do in the THA is for the people of Tobago.
Right.
That's it.
Because you're working for your family.
Right.
Because what the work you're doing is making their lives better. If you're working in health, education, whatever, it impacts your family. It impacts the people you hold near and dear, your neighbors.
Right.
It impacts the society. So people have to look at their contribution, not as, if I do good in this job, it gonna make he look good. It's not about making me look good or you look good or you. It's about making sure that Tobago, we create the Tobago that we always dream about. We have to transform this place. And there's the we in. Let we fix this. It's not let me fix this. It's let we. And there's the part of the we is the responsibility of the people to understand that in order for the thing to work, they are critical. They are critical to the success. So that when you go to work and you show up on time and you give up your best, you're not making this man look good or me look good or you look good. You're making sure that Tobago benefits. You know, and that's the most important thing. Let's get on board with the dream. This is the time to dream big Tobago. This is the time to get excited. Bring all the ideas. Let me see what we could. Let me fight them for more money down the road so we can get more things happening here. This is the time for that. This is the time for transformation. Next year, I have dubbed it my year of transformation.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you look transforming.
Of course, already. But Secretary, not even that. Even in this whole line of work, our families are the ones who suffer most.
That's true.
Because we can't even provide employment for them. They see it as nepotism.
Yes,
so some of our families members are there qualified and just can't get because they know where we sit.
But you know what? It's a sacrifice that we are willing to make in this time because there's a greater good here. And there's a bigger picture here. The bigger picture here is that, you know, we will have to create the Tobago we've been dreaming of. I could remember being outside of this and asking myself, how can I help change this place? And I felt the only way that I could do that was this calling that God gave me to go into politics. I didn't plan this for my life. I didn't plan this for my life, but I'm here now.
Yes.
And while I'm here, as long as I'm here, I will give my best. And I know that my colleagues have committed to giving their best and more than their best. And the thing is that regardless, the philosophy wasn't a party philosophy. The party was the philosophy was a people philosophy. It was always people before politics. And now we get the politics out of the way. So let me focus on the people.
But to captain our phrase coined yesterday, Tobagonians work with us. We cannot allow Fox to decide to build our hen house because they will know how to get in and how to get out. So we cannot allow Fox to design our hen house.
Yes.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, we have to come to an end tonight. There's been so much that, you know, that we ventilated. We realize how the time flies, so much that needs to be ventilated. We will be back next week, Thursday, God's willing, at the same time. And we know that we have stretched Mr. Nana's patience tonight. So we are going to pray that God will help us.
Latitude.
Yes.
But I think it's been a fantastic show.
Yes.
I want to thank my colleague,
the
beautiful Secretary Boris, presiding over there. Look at that. Look. Presiding over there at the Division of Tourism and
an awesome place to be.
Yes, ably assisted by Secretary Megan Morrison.
And before the show ends, I must plug my Assistant Secretary.
Yeah. Megan is
the double M.
Double M.
She has been
from up so.
And you know what? This year I'm excited to see what else.
Right.
Well, you know, she fights the hardest for her constituents.
Yes, certainly. You know,
everything for Megan is Bakalet Monson George.
Megan first, second, third, and two last.
So I mean, I think they have their staunchest defender yet.
Yes.
I think they have a representative who will ensure that as much as she can get for them, she will.
Sure.
I mean, and even though we have limited resources to share amongst all of the communities, I must give kudos to Megan for literally just kind of sometimes making goal out of hay. I wonder how she does it.
You know, if we bring a note for astronaut, Megan has one in her constituency.
Yes, that's true.
Megan always has someone to fill her post. Megan is looking out for constituents.
Indeed. Secretary Paula, we really thank you for being here tonight and bringing your own perspective on the conversations and so on. And to those of you that
my assistant,
and your assistant, Mr. Niall George, the beard man boy.
Yes.
Anyway, that's another conversation. You know. And we want to thank all of you who sat down and took the time and viewed the program. You know, we've looking at the live from time to time, and I'm seeing there are myriad of views, some for, some against, and all of that stuff. And that is understandable. You know, you have a right to have a view. You don't have to agree with everything. This is the dynamic world in which we live.
Views like a nose, everyone has one.
Indeed. So this has been Full Disclosure. I am your host, Bishop, Secretary, and whatever
Area representative.
Thank you, Bethel Newgrange. Thank you, Bethel Newgrange, for the opportunity to sit in this place. And we look forward to connecting with you again next week, God's willing.
Certainly.
And be safe. Take care. We shall speak. God bless.
Yes.
Be gone.